We'll call the regular meeting of the Ulm City Council for Tuesday, May 7th, 2019, 4:30 p.m. to order. Before we go into any of the agenda items, we're going to convene the council meeting to go into an addendum that we have here for the Board of Appeals. So at this time, I'll call the Board of Appeals to order, and we'll go on and discuss the two items that we have on there. So if you'd like to go up to the mic and...
Well,
Right?
yep. Perhaps you should want to have a motion to
I'll
suspend
offer a
the
motion
rules.
to
Okay.
suspend the rules.
Second.
And move to the
We have a
addendum.
motion and a second to suspend the rules and go on to the addendum. Thank you.
All those in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
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 All no. Motion carries. Not used to this.
My name is Diane Dunn. I'm with the Brown County Assessor's Office. Sean Gremmels and I are here today to reconvene on two property value discrepancies. We had two taxpayers appeal, and we needed time to review the properties, pull comparables, and make our recommendation before the council. So that's why we're here tonight. The first property is 315 Washington Street North in New Ulm, Thomas Ubel. Mr. Ubel attended boards yesterday, contesting his value, but we did not have the opportunity to pull together proper comparables or make a recommendation at that time. Sean had been in the property last year, so all of our information was verified correct. When Sean reviewed the property, he did increase the effective age based on updates noted to the home. The subject currently is valued at $60.20 a square foot. In our last sales study, we had 5 sales with similar architectural style, quality, and condition, ranging from $54.05 a square foot to $75.71 a square foot. So the 3 comps provided on your recommendation page are the most similar in age and square footage. Due to the limited 1.5 or 1.25 story brick house sales, we've also provided 3 comparable homes in New Ulm that are brick or stucco, built in the early 1900s and are in similar quality and condition. And that's the second page. Based on our information that we pulled, we are recommending no change to the current value for pay 2020.
Thank you. Any comments of the rest of the council? We discussed that one yesterday, I believe, so we just needed more information, which they gathered for us.
Hearing no discussion, I'll offer a motion to approve the county's recommendation on the value. No change on the value.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for no change. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Go on to the second one.
Good afternoon. Sean Gremmels, staff appraiser for Brown County. I live at 201 North Jefferson Street in New Ulm. I reviewed the second appeal that came unannounced to the local board of review yesterday. That is 910 North German Street, owned by Doug and Margaret Schwab. They are contesting their valuation for the 2019 assessment for taxes in 2020. Me and another staff appraiser, Jim Heil, went and viewed the property yesterday. We found all data collected during the last reassessment, which would have been in 2017 to be accurate. We also pulled 3 comparable sales for you to review. Based on that information, we also recommend no change of value on this property.
Thank you. Again, anybody have any questions, concerns?
Just upon looking at the information with the comparable sales, I feel we're right in line with the value for the property. It is a large square footage home, and looking at the 3 comps, I will offer a motion for no change.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for no change. Any more discussion?
Well, the comparables, just to note, are actually, $10, $12 higher per square foot than the property that is in question. I know it's a 4-bedroom home versus comparison of the 3-bedroom homes on 2 of them, but, I think I know the homeowner had concerns about the siding and the windows, but still that difference, there could be an argument made to increase the value actually, but there's already a motion to leave it as it is, so, that's how it could have went up. Somebody could have made a motion here to actually increase the value, so, based on the comparable
Yep.
properties, so.
I can speak to the size discrepancy if you would like.
Go ahead.
As we discussed yesterday at the local board review meeting, as you get homes into what I would say having excess space or above average space, if you look the homes that are 1,800, 1,600, 1,575 square footage, still with similar features as the subject, the additional space, the excess living room or things like that, typically don't generate as much value as the core average sizes. So as you get up into excess size homes, you do see a little reduction in price or value per square foot. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Seeing none? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you very much for coming, and with that, we'll adjourn the Board of Appeals. And do we need a motion, Roger, for that? Nope, okay. Board of Appeals is adjourned, then we'll go on to the City Council agenda. Thank you. First item on the council agenda is the consent agenda items. What's your wishes on that?
Offer a motion to approve those.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items. Any discussion on any? Seeing none? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 2.1, Peddler's license. And that's for May 8, 2019, ending May 7th, 2020. And that's Comcast.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 2.2, tree service license for Dwayne Roloff and Jennifer Berner.
I'll offer a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. That's from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed,
Aye.
no. Motion carries. Item number 2.3, raffle and gambling permit, and that's for Cathedral of Holy Trinity to be conducted on Sunday, June 23rd, 2019.
I'll offer the motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 2.4, temporary on sale 3.2 malt liquor license, and that's for also Cathedral of Holy Trinity to be held on their festival on June 23rd, 2019.
Motion to approve, subject to the compliance with all city and state requirements.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 3.1, foster variance request, and that's for address at 211 9th North Street.
And just bring this up here. Okay. Planning Commission recommended approval of this. Staff reviewed where the fence is, and it's a unique situation where the alley is and the existing garages with this request. And he's putting in a pool is the reason that he wants to put the fence in to be in compliance with it. And we had no written or oral complaints.
Are there any conditions that, I don't see any,
I believe his condition with his fence he's got to meet is for his pool. You know, because he's
right,
over.
but there's no city conditions I didn't see listed,
No.
so I wanted to make sure that we didn't forget to include any.
No, and we've done similar variance requests.
Right.
Staff gave us 6 examples that we've done.
And like you said, no complaints from neighbors or
No.
anything? Okay.
Any more questions, concerns? Seeing none?
So with that, I'll offer a motion to approve the fence for Douglas and Sally Foster.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Zieske variance request. That's on 1721 South Ridge Road.
Again, the Planning Commission recommended approval of this. We have done this similar in the past, and we've got examples of it. We've got no written or oral complaints from neighbors, and we conducted the public hearing and outlined what he wants to do.
I just had one question, and I already got that from the building official. Nowhere on the document did I see what type of shed it was, but from my understanding, it's 14 by 20. Otherwise, we could have been approving a 1,000-square-foot shed because it was not on the form here. So I'll make the motion to approve the application with the shed variance, 5-foot setback rear, 5-foot setback side yard, up to 1,400-square-foot shed.
Second.
Or, excuse me, 14 by 20. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
14 by 20.
Because we're limited at 1,000.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 4.1, website redesign. Mr. Dalton.
This is just an update or more informational for the council that the PUC at its April 23rd meeting approved an agreement with Gov Office for website redesign and content services. So looking in the future, in the near future, we're going to be doing a redesign to make it more user-friendly for the public. We're going to look at the content that we have on there and add additional content and additional features as needed. And then this will also help us become more ADA compliant with the website guidelines. More information will be coming along with some concepts and stuff in the near future.
And according to your note, this was budgeted for this purpose, and that's what we all do now is we go to Facebook or we go to websites for everything now, the information age, and I think we need to keep our site current and user-friendly especially so people can find things, and there are some areas, as it says, that are hard to find, so I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah, I am too. When are we looking at a completion date for this? We're going to launch it here in 2019 or 2020?
I would like to launch it by the end of this year, but we'll have a more solid timeline as we discuss getting conversations with the service provider, and they'll provide that information. I'll get that information out to you as well.
So will you have any type of public input at all about what?
It'll be more internal input because through Gov Office they'll be able to tell us, kind of what other cities are doing,
Okay.
and then I can look at what is the information that we need to put out there, in the forefront and really make it more user-friendly so it's not just information on our front page and you can't find anything. There'll be very specific, easy-to-use tools to get people where they need to go.
Some people just want to know what time the pickleball courts are open at Vogel.
Yeah.
And they don't
And
want to
we'll try to eliminate that link to a link to get you to a calendar.
Right.
It'll be like, click on this to get the actual calendar. So those are things we'll be
I'm
looking
excited
at.
for that. Thank you.
Great.
That's great. Anybody else have any questions? Seeing none, we'll go to item 4.2, splash pad update. Tom Schmetz.
Tom Schmitz, Park and Recreation Department. President Schmitz and councilors, you have before you simply a report that I plan to bring at your next meeting, May 21st, the comprehensive final report of the information that you have sought, including of the various location options, parking, water usage, utility infrastructure, cost, freshwater versus recirculating system, whether or not it could be plumbed into a Lincoln or Washington wading pool, and all that various information. It's becoming a very in-depth study with a lot of research and a lot of consultations with vendors. So that's the report to date. In 2 weeks, I should have all the information for you to make a final decision.
Could in with that report, could we also have an explanation of, based on location, what the maintenance costs would be from one location versus the next?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because it will be a difference.
Yes, and there will also be a difference in the maintenance cost, whether it's a pass-through system or a recirculating chlorinated filtered system. You bet.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any
Thank you.
questions for Tom?
No.
See you none? Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Item 4.3, downtown holiday Garland. Chris?
And then this, I would just like to mention that Cara is still getting some information together and would like this to be tabled until the May 21st meeting for her to give her presentation.
Thank you. We'll go on to item 5.1, ordinance number 19-031, fifth series, second consideration. Nicole, you got some on that one?
As we talked about at the last meeting, this is just really to give us some enforcement power, I guess, to have the leased lots cleared.
Okay,
Cars moved so we can get the snow cleared when it's necessary.
sounds great. Anybody have any questions, sir?
I don't. I think I just made a comment last time that we need to, since it's a new ordinance, so we make sure we get the information out to the proper people in advance, which I know that we'll do. So I'm going to waive the second reading and adopt the ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to waive the second reading, adopt the ordinance. Any more discussion? Do we have to do a roll call on this one, or just a,
It should be a resolution.
okay, resolution?
I'll,
On an
Not
ordinance?
normally.
Not you?
It's just putting an ordinance in place, so it's not a resolution, because the ordinance is already the formal document. We don't normally, because I know we did that last time for the
Yeah.
interim use ones. And we did the resolution, and then we went back when we were finalizing the minutes and researched it. We're like, we've never done a resolution to put an ordinance in place before.
There's not any law that requires one way or another, but it's just normally when you're doing something significant like amending the city code, my preference would be that we do it by a resolution, so.
I mean, that's fine with me. If we
Okay,
That's fine.
we'll make it a resolution.
I'll make it a resolution.
We have a motion and a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Hold on, I gotta catch up now.
That's okay.
Counselor Fisher's not here.
Nope.
I really have to catch up. Counselor Mack,
Yes.
Counselor Schultz.
Yes.
Counselor Christian.
Yes.
President Schmitz.
Yes, motion carries. Item 5.2, 2019 Utility Street and Alley Improvements Group 1 Project. Mr. Kaler.
Thank you, Mr. President. Staff was authorized and received an open one bid on Tuesday, April 30th for the 2019 Utility Street and Alley Group 1 project. This is the largest of our 4 projects within the 2019 capital improvement plan. We received one bid from MR Paving in the amount of $5,497,485.16, just under $5.5 million. The bid was tabulated and found to be correct as read. Bid was approximately $587,000, or 12% above the engineer's estimate of $4.9 million. So we had a few numbers that got a little larger in some sanitary sewer areas, but for the most part, the expectation was we were going to be close to that $5 million mark. So on the budgetary fiscal items, I estimate a bonding need of about $3.5 million just for this project. The second line of the budgetary fiscal items is important, I think. The estimated cost of the 4 projects included in the 2019 capital improvement plan is $9.4 million, with a gross bonding need of $4.2 million. So of the funding needs of the 9.4, we've got some funding coming in from federal, state, PUC infrastructure surcharges, some funding from the street department, but we still have an unfunded balance of 4.2 million. It's a little bit more than we like to see. I think in the past years, we've been at about 3.3 max. But these are some important elements that need to be constructed, and I would like to recommend and move ahead with this award. And I would try and answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you. Any questions for Steve?
Just the one for the general public info. I mean, we're actually like $1 million more, Steve, in need for bonding.
Originally, I would say about 600,000.
Okay.
We were in the 3.3 area. So it's, it's spread over 10 years, and I don't know if Nicole has any comments.
It will impact the tax levy. It's hard to say at this point. I did talk to our bond, not council, but PFM, our bonding agent, about some of it, what some of the costs might be or how it might impact us. And, with an estimate of the interest rate at this point, we have no idea what that will be when we do issue the bonds. He estimates probably about 3.25%. And depending on which, we have some extra cash in the debt service fund this year, so we are going to pay off some prior debt. And depending on which one we decide to pay off after some analysis, this will impact the tax levy between $170,000 and $250,000. So, but over the last 5 years, we've also decreased that debt levy that we make by about $300,000. So,
Okay, good. Thank you. Any other questions?
With that, I'll motion to award the contract for the 2019 Utility Street Alley Improvements Group 1 project to M&R Paving Excavating Incorporated in the amount of $5,497,000 at $485.16.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Let construction begin.
Seeing none? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 6.1, set a public hearing for a noise variance for the New Ulm area Catholic schools, and that's for, let's see, public hearing would be May 21st, 2019 at 4:30 p.m. and the celebration would be on September 21st, 2019 from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m.
I'll move it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 6.2, performance measurement citizen survey results. Chris.
So overall, for our citizen survey, we did have an overall decrease in city services, with the conditions of city streets the lowest at 3.31. Fire department still continues to be our highest rated service at 4.5. They had a drop from 4.6 to 4.5 this year. Overall satisfaction still remains consistent across the board. Compared to where we were last year, we're down by 0.01, about 1.1%. The biggest drop was 0.33, and that was in city streets. And after the winter we had, I can understand why that went down so far. Our overall, the average satisfaction rating was 3.31. And so I think overall we're still doing a good job, still in the satisfactory. Overall city, we only fell by, again, 0.01 from 4.02 to 4.01. I will say that finance and billing was the only one that got an increase this year. So Nicole is doing something right out there. But we did send out more surveys this year, 125 in each ward. So we're getting a bigger swath of the population. And then Parks and Rec was also divided into 2 sections this year. So that overall decreased park significantly compared to what it was last year, having it broke down into park programs and park facilities. So, overall, I still think we're doing a good job, and this will be a good measure to help us strive to do better in the future. And I do think sending it out to more people, the 125, helps us out in the long run.
Yeah, looking at the results, it says that we had a 3% decrease in the amount of returns based on the higher input, which is still, we get a lot more responses back. So I guess I like the idea of sending it out to more.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the residents too. I mean, 49% return is huge on a paper survey. I mean, normally surveys are 10 to 20%, so we're doubling, more than doubling that. So I'd like to thank our citizens for returning this. And I did see a lot of the real differences. Sometimes in the past few years, there's been Ward 1 will rate things a little higher than Ward 3 or whatever, you know, and they really were very consistent. And I thought the library seemed like they were sneaking up on the fire department a little bit on satisfaction too, is what I noticed. So Mr. Mako better watch it there. That library might take over the fire department. But I appreciate these. The comments were very interesting as well. On they continue to complain about our cost for utilities. That seems to be pretty consistent. So I know they get the copy of this as well.
They do.
And they'll be going over the review as well. So
You know, and part of the website redesign, coming back to that, you know, we will be actually putting more information out there. So a lot of these questions will be, you know, residents will have access to that information, you know, more comparisons and things like that. So, you know, we take a lot of this information, some of the notes and comments that we get from these surveys, and we're going to incorporate it into, you know, future decisions that we make for website redesign and communication and stuff moving forward.
Mr. President?
Yes.
One of the things that I just kind of like to mention, in our neighborhood, we had a power outage. 8 minutes later, everything was working again. I don't know if anybody else is going to have that kind of service. We have a fantastic turnaround rate to get the electricity back flowing, and that takes people, which takes money. So I just wanted to make that comment that we do have fantastic service.
I guess I'd like to make a comment on here. In the survey, I've seen it done here a few times, places about our railroad crossings, and they have to get addressed here in 2019. They're going to be quite dangerous. I've had a number of complaints. I'm sure other councilors have too. So I don't know where we're at with that with the railroad at this point in time, Steve.
Mr. President, the last I talked to Superintendent Curry, he's got an email contact, and he asked for some kind of an update, and they said they wanted to get to it as soon as possible because of the liability issues. That was probably a couple weeks ago. So I can check back again as soon as possible to the railroad. Could not be tomorrow. It could be 2 weeks from today. But obviously there's some repair work that needs to be completed, and we've had plenty of calls and visitors regarding that as well up in my office. So we'll check into that and get back to you on.
I guess another question I have, Steve, do we have any input with railroad crossings, at least putting from whether it's timbers or making them concrete, you know, so they're not deteriorating?
If we pay.
Statutory requirement is that they be maintained for the useful life of the material, and if they do wood, it doesn't cost us anything. If we want concrete crossings, we end up paying 90% of it. Typical railroad, I'm trying to remember the last one we did was 20 and south is probably about 15, 20 grand. We have to supply the materials and pay for them. There are some state aid eligible costs if it's on a state aid route. For instance, Boundary Street is going to be replaced with signals and gates and crossings, I think 2 or 3 years, and we've got some money lined up for that, some federal and state money. So it just depends where it is and what you want to do. But the shorter answer is, if you want an upgrade, you end up paying for it, like Councilor Christian has indicated.
Sure. Well, I think it's good to look at for the future for, you know, upgrading that road, that we would put it to maybe a concrete one.
Sure.
For the long haul.
we make that a agenda item so we doesn't drop off our radar for next time. Railroad update or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any more concerns, questions? Seeing none, we'll go on to item 6.3, City of New Ulm donations.
Okay, this one, I want to offer the resolution, waive the reading to accept the donation from Dwayne and Cleo Bone to be used for banner replacement in the downtown area in the amount of $1,000. And just to comment, there will be more coming from these two individuals. They'll be at the Park and Rec meeting at their next meeting Monday night, and it'll be back to council to accept some more.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you. We got a motion? Do we have a second? Got a
Second.
resolution? We have a motion and a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 6.4, Police Department donations. We got several of them here.
I'll offer a resolution to waive the reading accepting the donations and from the following business and civic organizations: the Physicians Group $500, Knights of Columbus $50, Alliance Bank $250, Citizens Bank $100, Neubauer Family Chiropractic $50, South Point Federal Credit Union $100, Wells Fargo $250, totaling $1,300 for the 29th annual New Ulm Vehicle Fair at Jefferson School parking lot on Wednesday, May 22nd. Thank you to
Second.
everybody.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading, accepting the donations. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 6.5, library donations and memorials. Let's see.
Oop, not that one.
We gotta be here somewhere.
Yeah.
There's no amount.
There it is.
There's no amount, I don't think.
There's no more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
There they are.
okay. Down further on the sheet here. The 2019 donations and memorials and grants, George Gloschbach, $77. Sue Otto for printer, $195. Lori Domeyer, cash, $15. Danny Warda, Dell Iron Cloud Print, $100. Peter Buckley, DVDs, $75. Sharon Gloschbach, cash, $25. In memory of John Ridmack, cash donation of $61. A memorial for Phyllis Domeyer, in the cash donation of $120. Los Angeles Public Library, $300. Did you get that one up here?
No.
No? Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
morning money?
Nuvera, cash, $75 for a total of $1,043.99.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading, accepting the donations. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Just a second. Who was the first? First and the second. Who made the motion?
Mr. President, are you on the police department?
No, I was on the, did I get on the wrong one? Library?
Oh, you were in the right one.
Library.
Okay, I didn't hear it first.
I didn't
Her
either.
first.
Oh,
Then I'll make I'll offer the resolution, waive the reading then.
Second.
now we have first. We have a motion and a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading, accepting the donations. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 6.6, approve professional services agreement with Braun Intertec. That's an amount of $32,442.
Mr. President, couple comments. Well, this is for the 2019 MSA project, which is 5th North Street. We've got some federal, we're utilizing some federal and state aid monies, which require us to do some additional materials testing. The city has received a proposal from Braun Intertec to perform this work. I'm good with the understanding of their proposal and scope of services and basis of work. There are some terms and conditions that come along with this contract that the city attorney has been reviewing, and he may want to speak to it, but he has a couple of concerns that we'd like to work out with Braun Intertec prior to signing of the agreement. So I would recommend that you approve the agreement subject to those, to the terms being worked out with the city attorney.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I can join in what Mr. Kaler stated. The last time the contract of this type came up with Brown, they agreed to some amendments, reviewing it again this year. they attach kind of a standard boilerplate terms and conditions. What was of concern to me had to do with insurance, liability, and things like that. I ran it by our city's agent, Mr. Firth. He forwarded it to the League of Cities, and they agreed that there are some things that we should try and get changed as far as the liability language. So I intend to communicate with Braun as soon as possible, because I know that the engineering office would like to get this finalized and in place. As far as the balance of the contract, the amount, the services they're going to provide, that's all fine. So it's just a matter of trying to work out some details.
Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, with that, I'll approve professional services agreement with Braun Intertec in the amount of $32,442 to provide materials testing services for the 2019 MSAS improvement project, and authorize the city manager and city attorney to execute and update the agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 6.7, approve a MnDOT Office of Aeronautics grant contract number 1033526. Mr. Kaler.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is basically the same agreement we do every 2 years. The state reimburses the city for 75% of the cost, up to $51,768 per state fiscal year for odds and ends up at the airport. If we have to replace a door or put in a new motor or pay for electricity, things of that nature, all gets reimbursed at that rate. Larger projects, we typically have grants that are available, but kind of for the everyday operations, this is great for operating the airport, and I would recommend approval as always.
I'll offer the resolution and waive the reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 6.8, renew award Johnson Park. Tom
Oh,
Schmitz.
everybody's here, right?
Tom Schmitz, Park and Recreation Department. President Schmitz and counselors, you have before you 3 recommendations from the RENU Oversight Committee, of which Counselor Mack and Counselor Fisher were both in attendance at. These were unanimous decisions for recommendation to you from the Oversight Committee. The first one is to, we had the bid opening on April 30th, the authorized bid opening. 2 qualified firms bid, and one firm was significantly lower than the other. So our consultant, architect engineering firm, ISG, staff, and the Oversight Committee recommend that you award to Webb Construction the Johnson Park RENU project in the amount of $1,150,775, which includes the base bid, alternate A1, alternate A2, and alternate A4. So let's talk about that first. Alternate A1 is some select concrete rehabilitation. The original concrete in this historic grandstand, the WPA grandstand, there's some concrete that needs repair. And then there will be a skim coat over the entire concrete surface. So when you walk into the stadium, it will appear new. So that's alternate A1. Alternate A2 is to refinish the superstructure steel I-beams, which is sanding and repainting of the superstructure I-beams and roof support. That's highly recommended to take place, both those 2 projects, during the construction of the entire project. A4 is the third base dugout patio, which would also be most cost-effective and best done with the project, rather than attempting to do at some future time. So that is the first recommended proposed action. The Oversight Committee recommended not including alternate A3, which is the right field observation deck of approximately $150,000. So, do you want to discuss this proposed action number 1, or do you want me to jump into proposed action number 2 now?
I don't know. I guess we could take them one at a time if we have, unless somebody sees anything that they don't like in it. At least that way we.
Mr. President, if
Yes.
Tom, didn't the committee also recommend the metal mesh? I thought at the RENU meeting, that was Counselor Fisher's recommendation. I was the one who seconded it.
So alternative 6 was to eliminate the metal mesh.
Right.
And so we don't want to include that because we want the metal mesh there.
Yes, the metal mesh is a part of the base bid.
Okay, just so we're clear on that. Okay, all right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So unless anybody sees any problems with this, I've gone through this already with the city manager and stuff prior to the meeting and stuff, and what I'm seeing and what we discussed, I think we need to personally go along with the first recommendation without a problem.
I feel we have to go along with it also because I feel it's an obligation to maintain the park to its integrity. It served us a lot of years of service, so I believe we got to move forward.
So this time we could entertain a motion to go with the first proposed action and then just take each one down here and see what we want to do in the future here.
Sure. I'll offer a motion to approve the proposed action number 1 for $1,150,000. $1,150,775,000 for the
I'll
base.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes?
Bob Skillings, President of the New Ulm Baseball Association, 36 Woodland Drive. So where does this motion put the observation deck at this stage?
Go ahead.
I guess that's, according to your proposal to us from the RENU Committee, it puts it on the back burner, but at the end of the discussions here, when we get done with number 3, I'd like to bring that back up for discussion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Tom, number 2.
Okay, thank you, President and Councilors. Proposed action number 2 is to authorize some additional services for the project, including the material testing services of approximately $13,700, and then the replacement of the public address system of $5,800, and then a design creation cost estimate of $5,000 for the signature mesh graphic panel above the main entrance at German Street. And I would recommend that you authorize those expenditures out of RENU funds additionally for the park.
One question I have, Tom, is construction material testing, American engineering, I take it this wasn't part of the original spec book for testing? Why is it an add-on?
That's my understanding. I don't know if
Normally
Ryan
those
Wire
specs are written, if
Facilities.
there's something for testing, it's in the spec packet. I'm just curious.
Yes, it was not included. It's my understanding. Ryan?
Ryan Wire, Park and Rec Director, President Schmitz and councilors. Yes, we decided to pull that out and pay that independently of the general contractor project. So yes, it is in the original spec book, but it was a separate scope of work from the general contractor.
Thank you.
And we are actually, on that note, attaining a second quote, so maybe we can make that go down, but that, we will have 2 quotes on that item.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And the last part of that project talks about the signature metal mesh graphic panel. Is that on this picture we're looking at at all?
That's the baseball
the
player.
sign? Is that
The baseball player that's
the baseball
there.
player? Okay.
And we looked at pulling that out.
Expensive baseball player.
Because having that out to a general contractor,
Okay.
they don't know what those specs are and where to get that, and we'd probably pay an elevated cost where we have a couple shops in town that could provide this service, and we can get it a
Probably.
lot cheaper than bidding it out to a general contractor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions for Tom? Seeing none, entertain a motion?
I think we have one already, right?
No,
Nope.
second one.
Okay. I'll offer a motion for item number 2.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 3.
Yes, thank you, President Schmitz and councilors. Finally, from the RENU Oversight Committee, they have a recommendation that the city council plan for an approximate 10% overall project contingency. Contingency has not, is not in the bid at all, but this is a normal project contingency. And so the Oversight Committee recommended that you plan for that.
I guess I would agree. We need, I don't know what the number is. 10% is probably not a bad number because I don't know of any project that ever got done on the exact price. There's always a change. And you're going to have an overrun, there's not a doubt in my mind. Something this big. So we need to have something there so we're covered.
And the 10% contingency would be about $115,000.
This project keeps growing and growing. When we
I
originally
mean,
talked about
I'm
it,
okay with it. I know we need the contingency. We're gonna run into things. I hope 10% covers it at Johnson Park. It's an old diamond. Just a reminder, we're now at that 1.25, 1.3, and we allowed $1 million.
I'd like to maybe comment that originally when we were talking about these projects, we were at 1.2, we talked, and we scaled it back to $1 million too, when we started this 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
I was presented with the paperwork on it and it was 1.2, so we're real close.
We're close.
I mean,
And we
you
did
gotta
talk-
realize this was 2 years ago, and a lot of those numbers kinda came from the sky and they kinda ballooned as they come down, so. We knew we're not gonna be exact when we went into this. The only thing that I'll say right out front that I'm exact with is 14.8 and not a penny more on everything, so.
Yep.
So, first come, first served.
I'll motion to allow for the 10%.
Second.
See.
We have a motion and a second, 10% contingency. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Getting back to Mr. Skilling's question and comment is that $147,300 for the first baseline observation deck. That was a discussion that we also had, I believe, yesterday. And I could probably turn it over to our city manager. I guess where we're coming from is I'd like to see the city council work with the baseball association or whoever we can to try to get some of this done. Some of the things, this observation deck would be nice. And if we can make some kind of an arrangement with them, I believe, before I say too much, I'll let Chris take over.
Yeah, and so it's looking into possibly if there's some EDA funding or looking at the city to possibly do a loan to the baseball association, with payback terms that would come back to the council for your agreement. If that's something you would like me to pursue, to look at putting the observation deck in, not using RENU funds. There are different options as far as payback from the baseball association, but it would be, up to the council to decide whether those terms are acceptable for the payback. And really, we have, I would say, between 3 to 4 weeks to kind of hammer down kind of those details, because once we start construction out at Johnson Park, I don't think we're going to want to reopen or reclose the field to do that. So this is going to be a kind of quick turnaround for some terms and conditions, and I'll have Roger take, kind of, once we finalize some of or get an agreement between myself and the baseball association given to Roger to have him draft something up and then kind of float that back and then bring it to the council for your approval. But it's all contingent on you guys tonight authorizing me to move forward with that. If that's
My
something you
concern,
want.
Excuse me, Mr. President, that's not really on the agenda.
Yeah.
all right,
So, I mean, the city manager and the association certainly can discuss anything they want to and bring it back.
Okay.
right.
But as far as taking any action tonight, this is the first I've heard of this. Ultimately, it'll be up to you. if it's something that you would want to go forward with. And obviously, there's a short window of time
Short
to
window.
act on it.
Very short.
So we don't have to act on it.
Or we could put it on our renew as, as an action item, as a council,
You ultimately have
It's up
that
for
decision
discussion.
too.
But every
But
dollar.
again, put it on the next agenda.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
We can't vote on it tonight. Yeah.
I guess, I don't know if we dare discuss it, if we can't, can we have Mr. Skillings?
Well, I think this is something where Mr. Skillings was gracious to decline speaking when the discussion part came up, and you would have given him an opportunity to do it. So I think it's probably appropriate for you to explain if the association has something you'd like to share with the council, as far as any options or where that might be going.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that we're very pleased with what you have approved tonight. The pictures are gone, but I think if our park can look like that, we'll be very pleased. And that's just the exterior. Most of the work and money is being spent on the interior, and we're very pleased with that. The observation deck kind of came along towards the end of the whole process, and it really is sort of the icing on a wonderful cake as it is, to have this observation deck. If you go to parks in the area and around Minnesota, these decks are becoming more common, and with us having a historic park like Johnson Park, and having the opportunity to host a big tournament in 2020, the importance of having the icing on the cake is there. And so the New Ulm Baseball Association is prepared to, with the city's initial help, to reimburse, to get that done in time for 2020. And it's already been planned and spec'd out, so the current contractor that was approved could do that work alongside everything else, and there probably would be some cost savings rather than waiting until later to add that, which there was a comment at the RENU committee that when you put something off, does it ever get done? Let's do it now when we're working on it. So we're prepared as an organization to gather as many resources as we can in the next years coming to reimburse, to be able to have that completed. I do have one question, and I don't know if there's an answer or not, but some of the materials that are in the spec and going into the park may not necessarily be, they're grand, but we may be able to get by with something less. And so my question is, can we change some of the materials and have some cost savings, and then possibly be able to add some of that into that deck?
I think I can positively answer that, Bob. We'd have to rebid it. You
would
can't
have
just start changing what was spec'd out with a contractor. Well, let's do this different, let's do this difference. Carlson could come back and say, well, hey, you didn't let us bid that. I just don't think that's the avenue to go.
I'd agree.
Slow down your project.
It's a slippery slope. You can have some minor changes, but the kind of things that would result in this being paid for would be substantial enough where we'd have some real problems, I think.
Okay. Well, one example would be, we're going to have netting, and right now it's quite a ways and quite high, but do we need it all that ways and all that high? So do we need that much netting? And if we don't need that much netting, there would be some cost savings, and maybe that could be applied somewhere else. Those kind of things.
And we just cut it short. I'm looking at the bid sheet here. Carlstrom was lower on the mesh. That you're just opening a can of worms.
I'm talking about the netting on the grandstand.
Okay. That's my opinion.
And that's just an example. Okay.
Well, what you could do is look at a way to enhance your revenue more than trying to cut back, is figure out what could you do to enhance revenue. And I've heard some people say that if there was this observation deck, you know, you could potentially have a concert in there, or you could have some things like that that could bring in some revenue on a pretty quick basis. So it might be worth, you know, your group thinking about is how could we figure out a way to bring in revenue quicker to pay it back, so at a higher rate.
It's great ideas, Bob, but we're getting out of, we'll put it on the next agenda.
Yeah.
The observation deck, same discussion will probably take place.
Right. I'd like to figure out a way to make it happen, though. I mean, just.
We'll let the
Not
talk
against it,
continue.
Yeah. I have one more question for Tom Schmitz. I know we're approving this tonight, and we had conversation in our RENU meeting with INS Engineering about going back to the contractor to give us a little time to be still for the deck. He said he would come back, check with the contractor, you know, if it's gonna take us another 30 days or 60 days to come up with.
Yes, President
The
Schmitz,
plan.
Counselor Mack,
Have we
Counselors.
made contact?
We can work with the architectural firm and the contractor to request they hold that deck price for a period of time for a decision to be made by the city council.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
No more discussion, we'll go on to item 7.1. Accept a list of claims in the paid an amount of $2,730,066.51 and approve a list of to be paid an amount of $356,567.95.
I'll move it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. With no more business, meeting adjourned.